wrote the theory of division of power. 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗡𝗙𝗥𝗚 conceived this idea. It was part of us to know that the rulers have to be accountable. And if they're not accountable, we can tell them to take their leave. And yet, we have built a nation that hasn't had that. Therein lies part of our problem. Our communities of the past, they had hunters, and I greet the hunters here, and I thank the 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗡𝗙𝗥𝗡 for remembering the hunter and to be present here. Our communities of the past had night guards. They had market authorities that were more efficient than CCTV because they were alert and they were deployed. What has changed? We have built states that does not recognize these important things. We have created policing authority that does not understand the need and does not demonstrate the ability to create an harmonious blend between the past, the present, and the creation of a future. A future that knows what we have, that values it, and tries to deploy it into what we want. We're fully aware that the threats of security come from external sources, and they come from internal sources. I personally don't care where they come from. For me, anybody, I do not really spend my time on saying some enemies are from outside, from some enemies are outside. Because in reality, whether they are coming from far away or they are coming from close by, the fact remains that 𝗖𝗢𝗡𝗥𝗙𝗥𝗚𝗧. We must therefore look at our first self. We have to create a society in which those who are inside should understand that it is an abomination to be friendly with enemies of peace. They have to understand that it is sacrilege to sell to buy from, to rent to those who can destroy us. If the outsiders that come to destroy us have a code that will not allow them to expose themselves, we should develop a code that anybody that tries to kill any one of us is an enemy of all of us. We have to start thinking along that way. I've been called here today to share some strategies about how we can combat banditry. So let us share some very practical thoughts. The first step, I believe, is for us to cultivate a very clear awareness. We must understand that we, our brethren outside Yoruba land, outside the states that we've been confined to, and all of us inside here, we are engaged in a conflict with ruthless, dehumanizing enemies who, regardless, I don't care about their identity, about their motive, whether it's spiritual, whether it's poverty, whether it's anything, it doesn't matter to me. We must understand that we are dealing with people who are ready to degrade our life, threaten our system, destroy our property, and turn us to slaves. Therefore, we must see the fight against insecurity as a war of liberation. We need to build our community intelligence system very quickly. Yoruba history, Yoruba security began from the street, not from one distant office. It began from neighborhood. Let communities organize properly, and from now on, let us consolidate and structure our vigilance network. Let our security start from our palaces, from our local government institution, from our community development association, our community development association. Let it now go to security agency because it starts from home. More than ever does charity begin from home. And that home is the house of individual of us, one of us. Not that we close our gate and we leave the rest. We close our gate and we stay alert from the window, watching out that we all are guardsmen of our security, of our community. We must prioritize the localization of our system, ensuring that information flows very quickly upward and downward. It was faster than before. After all, there's a saying that says that the one who knows the terrain will protect you better than the outsider. We must use that knowledge. We must insist that our government at the state level and at the federal level, we must insist that they empower community structures to operate. They must have the legal backing. They must effectively be in charge, not as a mere parallel, not as a parallel structure to the government forces, but they must be fundamental bedrock upon which the government forces is built, because they are the ones that are closer. It is time to ask ourselves about 𝗬𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗙. What do we want to do with 𝗬𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗙? My thinking is that we need to wake up and elevate 𝗬𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗙, not by mouth, but by praises, but by investing to take it to a prominence of professionalism. We need to expand it, we need to empower it. 𝗬𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗙 was born out of necessity and the courage to respond. And at this point, I would like us really to a round of applause to remember the late 𝗬𝗢𝗡𝗙𝗥𝗚𝗧𝗬 𝗬𝗢𝗥𝗡𝗙 so far has proven its value, but it must evolve. It is in a short time, but that's the way the history of the world is written now. You don't need 20 years to see a difference. It has done a lot. It is time for us to evolve it. We must evolve by standardizing it. Training in intelligence, human rights, modern weaponry, seamless integration with police database. We must then develop for it comprehensive welfare and insurance. I sat with Ire the other time and he was telling me some of his processing. While he was talking to me with passion and vision, I was thinking of budget and my heart was doing gugum. That this is all you need to do. We must think along that line to see how things work. You see, because a formidable tiger or a leopard can only act if the terrain is conducive. No matter how strong a lion, a tiger, or a leopard is, if the terrain is not conducive, there will be trouble. Let me also state very clearly here that I would like to advise our brethren and all of us to start pushing now to the government of Kogi and Kwara State that it is time to get the module of 𝗬𝗧𝗥𝗡𝗙, not tomorrow, practically. Let them sit down after the summit. The statement we go out of this should be a recommendation that community security should be taken across everywhere we care about. Let us make it available to everybody, but let us insist on the areas of our own concern that it happens. We must support our brethren in those places when they start to advocate for things like this. We must provide training, we must provide partnership, we must provide support for them everywhere that they require it. We from Yoruba land must make it our duty to ensure that Nigeria decentralizes its policing. It is an old place, and it has been said, it is a very strange thing for us to expect Abuja to know where somebody is hiding in Osogbo. It is just, there's something illogical about it, and we need to bring light to that. Let us be clear, there is no question about it. Centralized police force cannot secure a diverse federation. It is just absolute planting tomatoes and expect corn to grow. It does not work. Our constitution framework must evolve. It must allow state policing, community policing, and I even talk about localized command, community command that knows the environment. Yes, it is a good time to clap. They are not clapping, tell them. We must insist while they're arguing. You see, this battle is a continuous battle. We spent years telling them about state policing. Now, many people are agreeing. Let us push the boundary. While they are doing state policing, let us start talking about local government policing. While they are talking about, let them start talk about community policing. That is the way forward. That is what we are known for. That is why the Yoruba people are the progressive. Because we push the boundary, and we need to keep pushing it. Decentralization, let me be clear, is not about division. It is a strategic approach that enhances efficacy and efficiency. That is why we divide it. Fortunately, many of those who were initially opposed to decentralizing policing are now coming round. I call it the orange factor. Because those who are saying no before all of a sudden, they are seeing that they must. It is important that we forge alliances with those who agree with what we're pushing. We must not hate or discard those who disagree with us. Some of them do so out of ignorance. Let us educate them. Some of them do so out of malice or mischievousness. Let us overcome them. I believe in engaging with people of good heart, and I believe in fighting the people with a bad mind. That is the way to approach this thing. We must know those who are confused, and we must know those who are bad, and we should deal with them accordingly. We must reevaluate our approach to security in the farmland, wherever that farmland is, because it is from that land that we get food. When I was a little boy, I was always around the kitchen, as you can see my side, because I knew that the first source of comfort is coming from the kitchen. So I always made sure the kitchen was clean and everything was fine. All the problem in the house, at a very tender age, I knew the kitchen must be protected, because that is where food will come from. Now that we're grown up, it is time for us to develop that mentality and to know that our farmland is a crucial place for us. Because we therefore need to let government know that any governance that fails to protect the rural areas is a failing government. We need to make sure that our highways are not weak anymore, but they are places that are well covered. If government or governance fails on farmland, on highway, that government will fail in many other places. And even if they succeed in one place, how do you transport what you have succeeded in to another place if the roads are not safe? That itself is something that we need to look at. Practically, we need to establish dedicated highway security forces that are not there to check documents when you see them. They are there to ensure that criminals cannot strike, because they know they cannot get away